Dr. Flight. I hope you're doing great today. This video is a review of week one material for MBA 631. So my goal typically is to create some type of communication at least once a week, if not more so, just to review the materials in the course and to make any announcements or keep up with any information that would help progress the course along and just kind of keep tabs of things. So relatively, these should be relatively short in general, but as this is the first week's review, this would be a review of last week's material, week number one. I just want to spend a little bit of time making sure everybody's comfortable with Moodle still. And if you'll recall, we had an announcement, and within the announcement area, we had the schedule of sort of what things we are doing each week. And let me know if this is not real clear, or if you need more guidance relating to schedule type things. But in short, there's three or four different components of the course. The bigger ones or the ones that you'll get used to on a weekly basis are the reflections. So every week there's a reflection from the prior week's material. So week one material, we have a reflection due this week, Tuesday, the 21st. And so you'll find those again in Moodle, either on the left-hand bar where we see weekly reflections, or you'll see it on the main page. There'll be a tile that is available for reflections as well. So weekly reflections would be right in there. When you go to week one reflection, you'll see the prompt. This is about Starbucks, and the prompts and the weekly reflections really, the goal here is to apply course material, and these should be about a page long of your text, single spaced. There's no real page limit or minimum, I guess, if you will, except that we want to really understand what the problem is that's being discussed, and kind of bring in course material that is relevant to this specific problem at hand. And again, the goal here is to apply and to look at problems in today's environment that we can, kind of use marketing solutions for. This is a marketing strategy course. This is a heavy strategy course, but through the lens of marketing activities a lot of times. In this particular one, we have Starbucks, who's struggled with their identity, struggled with kind of understanding their purpose a little bit, getting away from some of their business model that worked well, bringing in a new CEO who has new directions. The issue is they've had a lot of plateauing, and they really have had either negative or stalled growth. And so the question is, what do they need to do to not so much reinvent themselves, but redefine themselves and or create opportunities for growth in sales, growth in revenue to pick back up. So there are a couple readings, just short articles from popular press sources that will help you. There's also a short video from earlier this fall that will help also kind of use this, or kind of help you along this way. So the reflection is something, and again, I won't go into enormous details every week, but the reflections certainly are there to help you along. Now, when it comes to the material itself, in terms of what material we're looking at for the weeks, you can go into the tiles here. You can also, again, use the left-hand navigation bar here if you'd like to do that as well. But we're in market-led strategic management. That's the week, or chapter one of the text that you should be referring to. Additionally to the textbook, I'll always have some readings that go along with what we're talking about. This week in particular, the reading that is really helpful, again, popular press article from a number of years ago, but it still is relevant in terms of thinking about how marketing can be used to solve firm issues and problems. From a strategic standpoint, it comes from Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, Encyclopedia Britannica at the time of the article was transitioning formally away from print products to digital products. This is a company that's been around for over 200 years with the same print product that they had had. However, with changing times, with changing consumer preferences, with changing technology, the mode of information consumption has had shifted enormously away from print door-to-door sales of encyclopedias to online, platforms. And so this is really the story of that transition. And one of the big takeaways here is this idea that if they had defined themselves as a encyclopedia company, then they never would have realized that their true value in their product is the validity and the truth of their products. That's a big takeaway, that their strategic competitive advantage is the credibility of the information they produce. That's what sets them apart from everybody else in there. It's not the fact that they make books. It's not the fact that they have encyclopedias. It's really not even the fact that they're 200 years old. It's the fact that the information they produce is credible, believable, and reliable, and that it can be used as sources of true information. Now, couple that with the availability of information on social media, on websites, on Wikipedia. None of those are valid or reliable on a consistent basis. So the source of information is becoming obviously more and more important, so that when we make decisions, we're basing those decisions on true information. And Encyclopedia Britannica has always been a source of credibility when it comes to information. And so recognizing that early allows them to pivot away from the form of their product, from a print product to a reliable online source, whereas many online sources aren't reliable. And that's kind of the crux of the strategy that has really enabled them to do this. And that's what I want you to take away from this reading, that when we look at making changes, making strategic elements and things like that, a key thing here is to know why you're good at what you do, why your company's good at what it does, and leveraging that, using that as your motive for strategic decisions, as opposed to what might be on the surface. And on the surface here is they're a book company, and they sell books door to door. And that is entirely what they do, or what they used to do, but that's not who they are. And that's not what sets them apart from others. And noting that, realizing that, allows them to pivot and change into a new genre and a new really generation, another 100 years of business. Now, though, in the digital form, it also opens up doors. You'll read in the article that they're positioning their product to a lot of educational outlets like schools and universities and libraries and things like that, as opposed to door-to-door residential consumption. And so that again leverages that pivot, their truth, credibility, and their strategic competitive advantage allows them to pivot to a new market, to a new consumption base in this particular product. Okay, so every week we'll have some additional readings. There are also other readings that are more supplemental So things that you want to know. So this week we deal with exchange theory in a big way. That's an underlying concept. The text doesn't go into a lot of detail, but I do in my videos. Other area is something called market orientation. It's a big theory in marketing, and it's composed of three subdimensions: a dimension for the consumer, a dimension for competitors, and then something called interfunctional coordination. So that's a big concept. The text also goes through six different trends or guiding principles in marketing, which is also good to kind of have as background as well. So again, if you're in this tab in Moodle, you're going to see videos that go along with like regular course lectures, right? So these would be lectures that you might see in a course that correspond with, if you had a face-to-face experience, then these are the types of things you'd be hearing in the videos. Then as we move down here, and each video, by the way, has a PowerPoint associated with it. If you wanted to follow along, you could do that. But then we have the Britannica article. Then we have some other articles and other readings that are more supplemental for you if you want to go into a deeper dive and learn more about these different concepts. Okay, so to help your learning process, to find out more information, then those extra readings are there. But the application is important. So again, if we kind of look at this front end of this week's material, you'll see this every week, kind of what you should know. So a list of topics that we're covering this week, what you should know, what you should read, chapter 1, and then the Britannica article. You have a reflection that's there. And then we have some other notes and other things that are just kind of things that might be interesting, and then supplemental readings. Finally, you're going to see an area here. After studying week 1 material, you should be able to competently address the following. There are 5 questions here. These questions are the types of ones you're going to see later on in the term when we do our content reviews. So every once in a while, we're going to pause and there'll be a deliverable where you answer some questions in detail that relate to the theory and the concepts of the course. These are not the weekly reviews. These are every once in a while. They're called content reviews. They're not the reflections, excuse me. They're the content reviews. And these, but after each week, you should be able to speak competently about certain topics because it's part of the course. And these questions capture the essence of those topics. So that's where I would make sure that you're comfortable each week knowing these topics, knowing these questions, answering these questions. And that's how you'll know whether you're grasping the material adequately or not. Okay, so that's kind of the week in review, and that's week 1, the topics that we'll cover. And again, we have 11 different chapters of material, 11 different weeks like this. We have some other weeks thrown in there where we'll work on our project specifically. But this is week 1, and I would expect that if you have questions, then feel free certainly to reach out to me and ask, and we'll move on from there. I know you're anxious probably to do your first week's reflection on Starbucks, and I'm anxious to see what you have to write about that. And again, those weekly reflections, the Starbucks one this week, we're looking at about a page. Now, certainly you're going to want to do some citations. So cite your work inside the paper. As you're writing your stuff, you're going to have in-text citations, and then add a page that will have your references on it. So like the actual location of where you found your information that will support and justify what you have to say in the body of your response. Okay, so again, please let me know if you have questions. I'm looking forward to hearing from you if you have any, and have a great week otherwise, and we'll touch base again probably at the end of the week. It's more or less what I try to do. So we'll recap week 2 at that point, and we'll follow up with any types of announcements and things like that. All right, have a great day.